Oh my goodness, we're back a week later. What are the odds of that?
Well, I called Vegas, and according to why are you looking at me like that? Oh, I wasn't supposed to call Vegas to set the odds or to find out the odds.
I know nothing. I just kind of work here.
That's funny. I work over here.
Oh, well, all right. We should work together.
Oh, that'd be a good thing.
By the way, I am Craig, aka Coffee, and by my side, as always, is the vivacious and vital and some other V word. Cuddles, aka Anna.
So what you're saying is this episode is brought to us by the letter V.
And number 3.
Okay.
For those of a certain age, you'll understand that. For those of you not of a certain age, well, go ask somebody older than you. Or younger. I don't know. Go ask somebody else. That's what I'm saying here.
Yes, he's had a sip of coffee, and this is what we get. So hold on tight and fasten those seatbelts because we're in for a bumpy episode.
Bumpy, huh?
Well,
Bump.
well, don't bump me off my chair.
This is episode 19. 19. Trust or bust. What are we talking about? Let's dive right into that.
So let me ask you all a question. Have you ever been in a relationship where stop shaking your head?
Oh, sorry, that wasn't for me.
Have you ever been in a relationship where things start off great and then at one point there's a question of trust? Because I've been in that situation. I was in a long relationship, and at some point, trust became a huge concern, especially when I found out that keystroke loggers were put on the computer I was using, and anything I had done on that computer was able to be viewed, read, photocopied. It was bad. And at that point, I really started to wonder, how do you build trust in a new relationship?
I think there's probably a certain innate matter of trust between two people. Normally you don't go into a situation saying, I'm not going to trust this person or they're not going to trust me, because then it would be foolish to continue on in that relationship. I think it's just something that you have to weigh over time and see, can I trust this person? Are they trustworthy? And what does that mean? Does that mean like 100% trustworthy? Are there allowances for slip ups? And I guess the opposite side of this coin would be, once you lose that trust, is it possible to gain it back?
That's true.
Now, I know with my ex, there was a lot of issues and trust was lost between both of us, partially because of something I did. And, well, if we're being honest, and it is my microphone, so I will say a lot of the trust issues were because of her. She would say things and never follow through, or she would say one thing and do another, or she would say, oh, don't worry about it, I'll take care of that. And then time passes and I ask her about it. And she says, oh, I didn't do that. I'm sorry. Or I never meant to do that. My ex-wife, the second wife, we had planned, she'd had kids when I met her, and it was nothing official, but we kind of casually talked around the idea of, did we want to have 8 children together? And she said that she would consider it, and we talked about it, and then we let it go for a while. And then I heard her on the phone talking to her sister saying, oh, I never planned to have kids anyway. So nice way to find out. She could have just at any point said, no, I'm not interested in that. But there's a lot of trust because of that. And she did some shady stuff behind my back. And, once that, I think for me anyway, once that trust is gone, it's very hard, if not absolutely impossible, to regain it. So if you're out there and you have my trust, don't screw it up.
Now, I think if you're going into a new relationship and you had trust issues in a previous relationship, it's going to be kind of scary going into something new because you don't want to have things that happen in the last relationship surface in the current relationship. So I think when it comes to maintaining trust, first you have to build it. And as you build it, you can, have it become stronger and stronger. Like, okay, let's take you and I, for example. Okay. So I think it was really important between the two of us to take things step by step, like small steps,
Absolutely.
not a running leap across the chasm.
See, now I've had that problem before where I've met people online and I've jumped from one to another. And, I love you start flying right away and everything. And with you, it was France first. It was one step at a time, one day at a time, until we both established the fact that, okay, this person is trustworthy. I can trust them with my secrets. I can trust them with my innermost thoughts and feelings, and they're not going to betray me. They're not going to screw me over. They're not going to use it against me. And we slowly built that up layer by layer, like a moist, delicious cake, until we got to the frosting part and we said, okay, we're good now. But I know a lot of people that just rush right into it and, they don't really know one another, and that trust can go away really, really quickly.
Mm. So, and I don't mean this to come off the wrong way, but I think both of us, because of what we've gone through in our past, we weren't expecting a whole lot right off the bat.
No.
I know when we started out, I think we were really good about not making all kinds of promises like, I will talk to you tomorrow at such and such a time, or we are going to do this on such and such a date. Because one thing when you're trying to build trust, and even when you're trying to maintain trust, never make a promise that you can't keep or that you don't intend to keep.
Right. Now, there are times when you make promises and stuff happens, life happens, things ensue, and, it winds up not coming to fruition. And that's fine. That's human. But don't make a habit out of, oh, yeah, we're going to go to lunch tomorrow. We're going to do this tomorrow. Or I will pay you back the $50 out of you by Friday or whatever. If you have no intention, as you said, of following through and keeping it, then don't do it. It's nice and it seems like a good thing to do, and to make yourself look better or to make the other person think, oh wow, you're a really great person. But in the end, it's self-serving, and it's going to lead to damnation and ruin. It really is.
Well, like one thing I noticed in a previous relationship, at first it was, I need to log off for a bit. I will be back in about an hour. And the hour would come and go, and sure enough, didn't come back. And of course, I would sit there and I would think of reasons why. Like, he fell asleep. He had to go take care of something with his mom or his family, or he just wasn't able to come back because of, who knows what. And I can't, I have to admit this. Every single time he said he'd be back in an hour or 2 hours, I just trusted that he was going to do that.
Right.
And this went on for weeks and months and years until towards the end, I think part of my brain smacked the other part of my brain and said, hello, he does this constantly, and he's not going to come back.
Right.
Why do you keep trusting him?
There is things that I saw in that relationship, but I kept it to myself because and I'm getting off on a tangent here a little bit, but until the other person is ready to hear what you have to say, they're not going to listen to you, or they'll listen, but they won't heed your warnings or whatever. So
They won't really hear it.
no, they won't. And I saw a lot of things that he did to break your trust as well. And I thought, wow, this guy is really special if this is like his standard way of operating and doing things.
Well, now if that's the people are going to say, wait, but he was consistently letting you down. But that's not how you build trust. And it's certainly not how you maintain trust, because there has to be consistency. So like
and not consistently a jerk.
Exactly. But like with us, I mean, if you said, hey, I've got to go do something with my son, I'll be back in an hour. If you knew that you weren't going to be able to log back in, somehow you got a message to me to let me know. And you were consistent about that. If you weren't going to be able to call or log in or whatever it was.
And then I would pout for it because I couldn't talk to you.
But you were that you were consistently pouting, but you were consistent about it.
Absolutely.
You kept the lines of communication open, and you were consistent. If you weren't able to do something, you somehow found a way to let me know. It may not have been within 5 minutes that you knew, but let's say, just for example, let's say I'll be back in 2 hours.
And yes, for those not in the studio and playing along at home, she is making the gestures.
I talk with my hands. I can't help it. And I'm consistent. So let's say 2 hours. I'll be back in 2 hours. Even if, excuse me, even if the 2 hours came and went, you still found a way to get a message to me. You didn't just let it go, and the next time I have time to drop her a line, I will.
Right.
Whereas in a previous relationship, he was consistent and never keeping his promises. And that's not how you build trust. That is how you take trust, add a little dynamite, and kablooey. The whole thing goes up like a 4th of July fire.
Well, of course, that's a very important step in that trust building, is if I tell you I'm going to do something and I can't, then you're going to think, well, this guy's a flake, or he's a nutcase, or he's unreliable. But I knew over time it would build more trust in me that I keep my word. And if I can't keep my word, then I will give you an explanation as soon as I can as to why I couldn't. Something could have come up with the family. I may have had to go out unexpectedly and run an errand, whatever it was. The internet went out, something. I would hop on my phone and send you a message through Messenger, or text you, or Discord, or not AOL, Facebook, whatever it was. And it was important to me for you to know that I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that showed me that you were different was how honest you were.
From day one.
Mm-hmm.
I laid it out all warts and all from day one. I said, all right, here's the list. And I kept waiting for you to say, all right, that's it. That's too much crazy for one day. I'm out. And you didn't. You stayed and you listened and you said, okay. And
hopefully I was listening actively, because that's important too.
That's true. But I kept waiting for no, I can't do this. But you said, okay. And when you said, okay, I'm thinking, all right. Okay, but, or okay, and, or okay, whatever. But I never purposely withheld anything from you. If I didn't tell you, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I told you that, because I told you all the other ugly nitty gritty details. So something as mundane as whatever it was that I didn't tell you was not intentional.
Right. But like, here's the thing. If there was something that I didn't know, or something that you said, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's never mentioned that before, somehow you would like read my mind and you'd be like, I can't remember if we've talked about this. And it's not like you were keeping it from me. If you were thinking, did I talk to her about this? Did I not talk to her about this? At least you would say, I can't remember if I told you this,
right.
but.
Right. Or have I told you whatever? Have I ever told you about XYZ or whatever it was? And you were the same way with me. You were very open. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is, everything about me. And it was like we were solid from day one.
Mm-hmm.
There was no little burrowing thoughts or whatever in my head or my brain saying, what's wrong with her, or what's going on with her, or I really never had any doubts about who you were or who you said you were or how you portrayed yourself to be. And it's always been, like Billy Joel says, it's always been a matter of trust.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't sue me for copyright.
I was waiting for you to break out the song.
No, they're not ready for that.
Okay, maybe it's season 2.
Maybe, which is coming up in another episode.
I know.
I can't believe we're almost at the end of season 1 already. So thank you to all the people that have stuck with us.
So, sorry.
No, it's fine. I was done.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure.
I trust you.
Aw, geez, sweet.
Yes,
something else that's important when you're building trust and maintaining trust is never be afraid to say no. Like one of the things that I like to do on SL is to ride motorcycles. I will never ride a motorcycle in real life because I could get into an accident. I could really hurt myself. But that's the great thing about being in the virtual world, because you can hit the walls all day long and you never get a bump or a bruise.
Yes.
Unless that's what you go and you buy to attach to your avatar. But one of the things that I didn't know at first was how dizzy you got from that. I wasn't aware of that in the beginning.
Well, it's not always a constant thing, so I never know when it's going to hit. I could be going along for a long time, and out of nowhere, it just hits all at once. So it's not always a gradual thing. It's just like, boom, I need to go. I need an air stick bag or something.
Right. But what I appreciated is that if I wanted to test out a new motorcycle that I had, you were willing to say, is it okay if I just hang back while you take it for a test ride? Because, I'm not going to feel well if I try to watch what's going on. And I appreciated that. I think I would have had a bit of a trust issue if you were constantly going, sure, I'll go, sure, I'll go, sure, I'll go. While in the back of your head, you're going, oh God, not again, not again, not again.
Exactly.
You got to be careful of people who agree to everything. Now, I know there are some people who that's just who they are and they love to be agreeable about everything, but
go along to get
you gotta be okay with saying no.
Well, I think a very important part of that, and what a lot of people don't realize, is no is a complete sentence.
Yep.
No is absolutely a complete sentence.
I had to get some water.
You don't need to explain. You don't need to expand or expound on anything. You just say no, and that's it. That's your answer. That's your reason. That's whatever, and that's okay. It's something I learned, or I realized, I guess, that I didn't realize at first, was when I rode on the back of the motorcycle with you, it was I could shut my eyes, or I could turn the screen around, or I could do whatever I didn't have to watch, or I could focus the camera like on the back of your head, so I wasn't getting the motion sickness like I would normally be.
Right. Are we there? There we are.
We are there. We had a puppy potty emergency, so we're back. Not that you noticed the gap in the tape, but we know it's there, so we're being honest, and we want you to be able to trust us.
Oh.
See what I did there?
Uh-huh.
There is no off position on the Genius switch.
Now, one thing that can hurt trust is constant self-promotion. Talking about how great and amazing you are, which you do not do.
I don't have to talk about it because everyone else just knows. See?
It's amazing that we're not running out of air in this room as your ego expands.
Alrighty then.
I was teasing.
She's got jokes.
I do, because I found your joke book. We get off the beaten path a lot around here, I'm noticing.
We do.
We've got all kinds of exits that we didn't even know were built into this roadway. But, okay, so where was I? So, one of the things that I noticed about you is that you would always show that you cared, and not because you were trying to manipulate the situation. Like when I would constantly talk about this problem and that problem, and here's what's going on with this, that, and the other thing, you would listen.
I would just listen.
And if I needed, hey, are you okay? Or I needed a long distance hug or whatever it was, you did it. You were showing that you cared without manipulating things or trying to twist it in your favor.
Right. That goes back to what I said earlier. If you're not ready to hear it, there's no point in my saying it. And I tried to never let my negativity out or let those feelings about what a jerk face he was, or why I thought you should not be with him, and not necessarily to be with me or anything, just somebody that made you happy and took care of you. So that's a big trust thing as well. Is knowing that I have no ulterior motive. I'm your friend, you're my bestie boo, my ride or die partner in crime, whatever, the peanut butter to my jelly, whatever. And I think that's an important trait to have.
Definitely.
Between two people.
And so is honesty, which, there were times that you had to take that honesty hammer and just hit an honesty gavel. And, somewhere I was coming up with a verbal picture and
then it skittered away.
But you would find ways of being honest without
being self-serving.
Yeah, without being self-serving, without being cruel. Like there were times that I needed to hear something, and you found a way of being honest about it and saying it in such a way that your trustworthiness was there. I swear I can't get my thoughts going today. I don't know what it is.
You didn't have any coffee, did that? See, that's your problem.
No, because the parents spilled it.
Oh.
Okay, here we go, getting off of one of these beaten paths. But it is coffee and cuddles, and this is a coffee
that's a crime
situation. So I have a parent who just about every week comes to help me out with whatever it might be, and she never fails to bring coffee. And today we had a major event at school. She was coming early to help me to make sure, I had the last minute stuff all good to go. She had really the big things of coffee. And I don't know if she tripped or slipped or if it wasn't balanced on her hand, but literally coffee all over the front walkway, which when she was embarrassed because, now it's a mess and it's very hard to clean up, but you don't want people slipping on the concrete. And two, I guess coffee is just one of those things that it's got to be part of her daily routine somewhere in there.
Right.
Or she just feels empty.
Right. Drinking coffee is, for me, it's as much about the enjoyment as it is about the actual act of doing it. It's a routine. It's a ritual. It's whatever you want to call it. It just is. I used to listen to a radio show called The Prairie Home Companion, and we would brew a pot of coffee and we'd drink our coffee. We'd listen to the show or listen to like the jazz program that came after. It was just this comforting routine thing that we had. So yeah, it's as much about the experience as it is about the actual drinking of the coffee. Speaking of which, my coffee cup is empty.
When did that happen?
I need a
I
big.
only saw you drink like a sip.
I need a bigger mug.
Oh my.
I was looking in a thrift store tonight, but I couldn't find any unique mug.
No, they
that's
were like
me.
small.
Right.
They were like Demitas size. I'm like, oh, that's not going to work unless he starts drinking espresso.
Right. Exactly.
Although, considering that getting coffee mugs is something I get a lot of.
I know, and I appreciate the mugs that they buy you, but they're all like teachery and girly, and I'm like, nothing against that.
Nothing black and white one over there. Okay, the fact that it says teacher on it should in no way stop you.
You're right. It shouldn't matter. It's just a mug, whatever, but it's not uniquely mine, like the Fat Chef mug. I love that mug. And that was one I found for like a quarter or something at a thrift store.
Well, we'll have to try a couple of other thrift stores and maybe we will find the right mug.
Okay.
Now, what does this have to do with maintaining trust?
I'm going to trust it. I'm going to trust you to do that. See?
So,
Work that in there?
Oh, I gotcha. Because
you're all
you don't make promises that you have no intention of keeping.
Exactly.
So, let's recap, shall we?
Let's.
So, the point that we're trying to make is we have been able to maintain trust from the very first hello. And it's something that isn't just instantaneous. You have to work at it. Now, if trust has been broken in your relationship, can it be fixed? I'm sure that it can, but it has to be something that both parties work at. And it has to be something that both parties want.
Yes, it can't be one-sided.
Yeah. If one person is not into it, then yeah, it may not end up working out. And, we can probably explore the other side of it, but
maybe a future episode.
And maybe in a future episode, we'll talk about what happens when trust is broken. But the reason why I wanted to do this topic tonight is we were out to dinner and we were talking about a previous relationship of mine. And as we were talking about it, I noticed how you were like seriously really listening. And you weren't passing judgment. You weren't saying, well, you should have done this or you should have done that. Or if you want my opinion.
Why didn't you do this?
Right. But, even when you're actively listening, it still shows that you're emotionally invested, that you care, that you want to hear what's going on. And when I saw that, I'm like, this would be a good episode.
I like that. I think it worked out well.
I think it did.
Good job.
So I think that does it for this episode.
I will say my thank yous and goodbyes, and I'll let you wrap it up.
Oh, why? Thank you.
I trust you to do it right.
Oh, boy, we're just getting the word trust into every single sentence.
Drink.
Oh no, coffee.
I didn't say what to drink. I just said drink.
Well, everybody's got their coffee cup, so they should be sipping it because if it's too hot, they'll burn their tongues.
All right.
We don't want that. We don't want injuries here.
No.
We care.
We do.
Which is important to trust. So that's our 2 cents worth. Your own mileage may vary. We hope you got something out of this. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, if there's ever topics you want to hear about or topics you are curious about or things that we've talked about and you want to know more, you have questions, reach out.
You can email us at coffeeandcuddles67@gmail.com.
Oh, very good. So I don't know what time of day you're going to be listening to this. So enjoy the rest of your day, evening. It is Memorial Day weekend. So thank you to everyone in the armed forces for your service to our country. Have a very relaxing 3-day weekend, and we will talk to you in a week.
Bye.
Bye.